let's talk about these customers that are coming to us via the internet. I mean, you think about it. Uh, who wouldn't use the internet today to do their shopping? I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, even being in the car business for as long as I've been in the car business, we do shopping. I have kids, I have employees, we help them buy cars. And I always tell them, start on the internet, look at the cars, see what you like, and then do some research and some homework. NADA states, or somebody states, that the average person spends 16 hours online shopping. To me, that sounds like a lot. I mean, 16 hours. I mean, it's the equivalency of watching 8 movies. I don't know if it's to that extent, but I think a lot of people do go online. And the question we have to ask ourselves is why? Why would they go online instead of just coming to the dealership? Well, number one, it's convenience. It's easy. It's simple. They can go online. They can see everything they want. But I think the other reason is fear. I mean, they're scared to death of us. I mean, they know that when they come to the dealership, we are going to try to sell them a car. Now they can do this through the anonymity of their computer. You know, I'll tell you an interesting thing that years ago, I made a mistake when my kids were little. I said, if you guys get good grades in school, when you turn 16 and get your driver's license, I'll buy you brand new cars. I'm not that smart, and I figured they wouldn't be that smart, and it would be a way to trick them into being smart and doing their homework. Well, boy, was I wrong, because my kids were really smart, and all of them got great grades. So when they turned 16, they started getting cars. And I remember I said to my middle child, Taylor, I said, sweetheart, go do your research and come and tell me what you want. She said she went online and asked some questions. And I'm like, oh, honey, really? Why did you do that? Did you email them? And now they have their email address. And now they're going to bombard you with emails. And she goes, oh, Dad, come on. I'm not that silly, stupid. I set up a fake Gmail account. And that's what I used to get my information. And we've got to understand that if a 16-year-old kid's doing that, a lot of other people are doing that too. So people do this to hide by anonymity. Now, why are they emailing us? Could also be because they're price conscious. People shop prices. They want to know what the prices are. You have to understand that not everybody's shopping for the best price. Sometimes they're just shopping to see if they can afford the price, to see what it's going to be. So it is a combination of both. Now, when people email you, speed is of the essence. Time is of the essence. You have to get back to these people immediately, because if they don't hear back from you, they're going to email somebody else if they haven't already. I know that all of you probably have, autoresponders that when they send the email, it says they get an email back saying, we got your email and we'll be with you shortly. And that's great. And I highly recommend that. But if you're not replying in a reasonable amount of time, if I send an email request out and I don't hear from you within 5, 10, 15 minutes, well, guess what? I'm going to go email somebody else, because I want this information now. I want it now. I want to know what it is now, because now it's on my mind. You also have to look at your dealerships of when the key times are that people are emailing you. I think a lot of you are going to find that it's a lot in the evening because people are home. That's when they're doing it. Some are doing it during the day and throughout the day. Now, when you reply to people, you have to focus on their needs, and you have to create for them a first-class experience. Most, and I do believe this, will pay more for a better experience. I know I will. If you give me great customer service, will I pay $200 or $300 more to buy a car from you? Absolutely. Would I pay $500 or $600? Probably I would. Now, am I going to pay $1,500 more? No, there's a limit to the experience you're going to give me that equals the value. But if you can come across as somebody that I feel comfortable with, I'm going to be willing to pay more. Now, when I email you, how you respond to my email is going to determine the direction and my mind thought of what I want to do. For example, if I email you a question and your email response to me is, well, when can you come into the dealership? You're losing me. I'm done. Okay. If I wanted to come to the dealership, I would have come to the dealership. Or if you're emailing me and you're asking me to call you or for my phone number, well, guess what? I'm done, because I didn't want to do it that way. You can get me to that point, but not too quickly. The other thing that concerns me, and for you, those of you that have been coming to my webinars and listening to me for years and years, I do believe that some things work all the time, and I don't believe that what I share with you is the best. I think it's unique and different, and I know some of you have ways that work, and I appreciate that. They might not work for me, but they work for you, so keep doing what you do. But I'm not a big fan of calling the customer, even if they give you their cell phone number or their phone number on the lead sheet. Some people, I talk to BDC people all the time, and they say, well, half the time the numbers are bad. Of course they're bad. Again, if I wanted to talk to you, I would have called you. So now we started off on bad footing because I've given you a bad phone number. And then you start calling me and calling me and calling me and calling me. Listen, you've got to create an environment where I want to talk to you. Also, you must keep in mind that when I am reaching out to you, I am sizing you up. That's very important. When I call you on the phone, I'm sizing you up. If I don't feel comfortable, then guess what? I'm done. I can hang up the phone, I can disconnect the email, and I can go on from there. So when people email us, they're emailing us for reasons. And the number one reason they're emailing us is for information. They want information. Now, information can be anything from options, accessories, availabilities to pricing. And we all know that pricing is the big agenda. But again, it goes back to people are sizing you up. So if you have poor email experience or poor phone presence, you're going to lose the customer. If you don't answer their questions properly, you're going to lose the customer. Now, I'm going to put a little asterisk on that. Sometimes I don't always want to answer their exact question because I'm going to get myself into a grinder, and I don't want to do that. Here's where this becomes difficult. If I email you and I want a price, now the question is what price do you give me? That's a problem now. What price do you give me? So if I say, let's say you're a Toyota store and I want a price on a base Toyota Camry, I email you, say, hey, can I get a 3-year lease payment on this stock number or whatever? So now the question is, well, do you give it to me at invoice? 200 under, 400 under, 600 under? Do you include the rebates? You're playing a game against everybody else, and 9 out of 10 times you're going to lose. I'm not a fan of giving prices. There's other ways to get people into the dealership. I'm going to share that with you in the next couple of minutes. So when people email me, the number one thing you have to do with them is you have to create dialogue. There has to be dialogue going back and forth. And the dialogue has to be something that I, as the consumer, find valuable. If it's not valuable, then I'm going to end the dialogue. So let's just take a basic example, and I'm going to use this simplest of scenarios. Somebody emails your dealership and asks for a price, a 3-year lease, we'll make this simple, a 3-year lease on a base sedan, okay? Very common question, very reasonable question. So now I've got the email, now I need to respond to the email. So what I like to do is I like to ask questions right off the bat. For example, I would probably email them back right away and say, great, I'd be happy to help you out with that. In order to be accurate, because of tax purposes, I need to know what zip code you're located in so I can calculate the lease properly. That is not a threatening question to a consumer. They're not giving up any information that they would feel valuable to them. So now they send you their zip code back. Well, guess what? Now I have valuable information. And let's think about this for a second. If somebody's emailing me from a zip code that's 100 miles away, the odds are not very great they're going to come and buy my car unless it's a unique type of vehicle. It's a specialty car. But if they're within 10 miles of me, well, that's a different story. It doesn't mean I deal with the leads differently. It just tells me where we are in the situation. So now a customer emails me back. Okay, now I might email them again and say, listen, what do you want to do as far as down payments? We have options. Did you want to do this with no money down? Did you want to put first and last payment down? And I email them that, and I wait for the response. Now, some of you are going to ask yourselves, well, why don't I ask all these questions in one email? Well, because now you're bombarding them with a lot of questions. Now it's a questionnaire. Now it's 4, 5, 6 questions. They got to sit down. They got to answer them. Again, you're trying to create dialogue going back and forth. This is why it's so important that you're timely with this. Because if you get the email at 12 o'clock and you don't respond till 12:45, well, guess what? Now they're talking to 2 other people. But let's say you get the email at 12 o'clock and you respond at 12:02. Okay, and they respond back at 12:03. You need to respond back at 12:04, and then they'll respond back at 12:05, and you at 12:06. You've got to captivate them and capture them into your world. Now, I might ask questions such as options and accessories. I'm going to ask them, hey, if we had this vehicle in stock, are there certain options and accessories that are important to you? And they say, no, we're just looking for the basic car. Now, everything we do, I believe, has to have a hook. It has to be a reason to drive them to me, drive them to talk to me even further, drive them into the dealership. And one of the things I want to do is I want to change their thought processes of what they're looking at. So now the customer says they want the basic car. So I might email them back and say, hey, if I had that basic car, and let's just say it had a sunroof on it, and the sunroof added $4 a month to the monthly payment, would you rule out a sunroof? Well, we all know most people are going to say, no, I would not rule out a sunroof. Great. I actually happen to have another one that also has a backup camera, and that's another $5 a month. Would you rule that out? No, that would not rule that out. See, again, now I have 4 or 5 emails going back and forth. I've created dialogue. Now, the next thing that you want to do in this process is get these people off the email and onto a phone call. You do not want to go directly for the appointment. That's why you're losing people, because what's happening is to get off this train, they're just going to say, sure, I'll come in. It's an easy out. So now you want to talk to them on the phone because your personality is now going to sell. What you're typing can be anything. It can be anybody from anywhere. Now it's got to be someone that they can actually talk to and hear a tone of voice and create that relationship. Now I might email them back and say, you know what? I happen to have 30 of these cars in stock. To make this easier for both of us, so I can be as accurate as possible, and here's the key words, would you feel comfortable chatting on the phone for a quick minute? I think it'll help both of us. And then end it there. Don't ask for their phone number, okay? Let them give it to you. They might then email back and say, okay, I'll call you in 10 minutes. Great. Then I might say, let me give you my cell phone number. It's more, that way you know you'll get me if I'm not at my desk. Or they might email you back and say, okay, here's my phone number, give me a call. And now you can make the call to them. But you've got to get this customer off the email and you've got to get them onto a phone conversation. But again, I got to emphasize, if you do that too quickly, they are not going to get to the phone call. You've got to get those dialogue going so they feel comfortable to then go to a phone call. So now I've got them on the phone. This is great. Now I've got personality, my personality, their personality. I can chit chat for a few minutes. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to reiterate everything. Okay, just want to confirm this. Okay, so you're an X, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zip code. Okay, we're looking at a base Toyota Camry. You've said that you would not rule out a sunroof. It was just a few dollars a month. You wouldn't rule out this if it's a few dollars a month. Hey, what kind of colors are you looking for? You thinking more dark or light colors? Customer says, well, we definitely we want black. Okay, a curiosity question. If I happen to have one that was a dark blue or a maroon color, and let's just say that was, $500 cheaper, would you consider a lighter color? Well, sure, for $500 cheaper, I would. Great. Okay, again, now we have to get phone dialogue going. So now we have conversation going. So now comes the key part. How do I get them from the phone call into the dealership? Now, again, you need the hook. And the hook is this. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, listen, we've got 35 of these cars in stock, and I'm happy to give you pricing on them, so please don't misunderstand me. But what I would hate to do is give you a price. You come in and lease or purchase that vehicle, and then you find out 3 days later, I had another car that maybe was $200 cheaper or $10 a month more expensive, and you would have preferred those options, and you never had a chance to look at them. So don't do yourself a disservice and narrow yourself down to one car. So with that said, we are very unique at our dealership. We view all initial visits as informational gathering events. We know you're not going to purchase a car. You're just coming in to continue your shopping process. So I'd like to invite you into the dealership. I'd like you to look at all of my Camrys. Whichever ones catch your eye, we can drive a few of them. Then I'm going to ask you to pick the cars you like the best. And most people will pick 3 cars, a price range of cars. Then let me get you pricing on those 3 cars. Now we know you found cars you like. Then take that information home, think about it, consider it, digest it, compare it with the other cars you're going to look at in your shopping process. So would you like to come in this evening, tomorrow morning, whatever it may be? And now you've got the hook. You see, the hook now was to remove the fear that they don't have to buy a car when they come in the next day or that evening. Now, in case I forget to say this, if they come in tonight, am I going to try to sell them a car tonight? Of course I am. Of course I am. I'm not stupid. That's my goal. My goal is to sell them a car when they get here. Look I'm just like you. I'm greedy. I want the car deal today, tonight, tomorrow. And I want to make as much money as possible. So now I have them in the dealership. Now, let's talk about when they're in the dealership, because I see this mistake being made all the time. A lot of salespeople don't want to take internet leads because there's no gross in an internet lead. It's somebody that has shopped the deal to death and there's no gross. So what do? Customer comes in on a specific car, and I'll guarantee you that 99% of you are going to say yes to this question. What percentage of you would have that car parked, cleaned, ready to go right out front? And I know most of you are going to say yes. And that's the worst thing you can do. That is the worst thing you can do, because now you've narrowed yourself down to a deal with a car with lousy gross. So my question then is this: how do you make gross on this car? You can't. There's only way you're going to make some money on this customer is you got to change cars. Got to change cars with a different option, a different accessory, a different model, a different style. But no, you've got the car parked right up front, cleaned up and ready to go. Now, I'm not opposed to having the car cleaned up and ready to go, but I would never, ever, ever have it anywhere but in the line of cars where they belong. So now when the customer comes in, I'm going to walk them out to the row of Camrys. I'm going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, just so you know, this here is the Camry that you selected. But before we drive this or before we go any further, I wanted to make sure you looked at all the other Camrys to make sure that you're picking the right car with the right options and the right accessories. And folks, I don't make a lot of guarantees, but I'm going to pretty much guarantee you that a lot of people are going to change cars because they're going to see something. A car with a spoiler, flare, with different wheels, with different accessories, with a different shade of tone or color. And now you've gotten off the car that they came in looking for onto a different car, which creates a whole new price schematic. And now you can make some gross. And in reality, you've done a great service to your customer. You've let them find the car that they love and they want instead of the only car that they narrowed it down to, maybe because of price. You know what's amazing? Every single time I have a friend of mine or anybody I know that buys a car, and I asked them, so how much is your monthly payment? And $350. I said, let me ask you a question. If there was something slicker, cooler, neater for $370, would you spend $370? Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. What's 20 bucks? Okay. But we have in our mind that these people are stuck at that number, that payment range they got to be at. And they're not. They're absolutely not. And we've got to get that into our minds. Now, I want to give you another tip, okay, that helps you get people into the dealership. Now, this tip is going to be, you've got to decide how you want to use this tip. If I get stuck on price on an email or a phone call, and it's usually by the time I get to a phone call, people, they want to know the price, they want to know the price, they want to know the price. Okay. What you got to do is you got to get them off the car and you got to get them talking about their trade. That's right, their trade. Because the trade is going to drive their thought processes. You see, everybody thinks that we're going to take advantage of them on their trade. But if they believe they're going to get more for their trade at your dealership, that might drive them to your dealership. So if I'm talking to someone and they're going price, 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 I'm going to ask, hey, are you going to be trading in a car? Yes. Great. Tell me all about your car. And I listen to them. Now, I'm going to ask questions. And one thing, folks, that I hate doing, I just hate doing, is degrading somebody's trade. It's their trade. It's their baby. They love this car. Now, sure, they know what the problems are when they want a new car, but don't tell them that their car is ugly. Don't make them think that you're going to devalue it. Ask, how many miles are on your trade? 75,000 miles. Great. Are you up to date on your maintenance? Absolutely. Great. Is the interior in good condition? Yeah, it actually is. Fantastic. How's the exterior? Dings and dents from the shopping carts. Great. Tires are good? Yes. No check engine lights are coming on? No. Great. Oh, we'd love to have your trade. Your trade is going to be worth some money to us. Absolutely. It's a car we want. Now, we could take it a step further. That was part one. You can take it a step further if you want. And this is where it gets a little controversial. People are going to ask, what do you think my trade's worth? Now, here's the worst thing you can say to somebody. Well, I won't know until you bring it in. I've got to analyze, I got to evaluate, I got a specialist who's going to look at it, my manager's going to take a look at it. People understand what you're trying to do now. Or some people say, well, what's the VIN number? I'll look it up, I'll get you a rough number. Well, guess what, folks? You're never, ever, ever going to give somebody a number that they're satisfied with. Never, never. Nobody has a trade worth $10,000 that you say will give you $9,000. They go, oh, that's great. That's wonderful. I didn't think it was worth that much. It doesn't work like that. So what you've got to do is if you can get that customer to give you the number and play that number with them, I guarantee you're going to drive people into your dealership. So I'm talking to Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, I got him onto his trade now. And he says, well, how much do you think my trade's worth? I say, well, I'm really not sure. Obviously, you've done a lot of homework and research on this. You have a better idea. What value do you think you'd put on your trade? And Mr. Smith says $12,000. Folks, I don't care what number he says. It's his number. Now, what I say back to him is I say, well, you know what? To me, doesn't really sound unreasonable or unrealistic. It sounds like your car has probably got a retail value of $12,000, which, folks, it probably does. You see, wholesale value is probably $9,000 or $10,000, and retail's probably $12,000. So here's my question for you. Will I give Mr. Smith retail $12,000 for his car? And I bet most of you are saying no. And I'm going to tell you you're wrong. We will. I'll absolutely give Mr. Smith $12,000 without a doubt. Under what situation? Well, if he wants retail for his car, he's got to pay retail for my car. If he wants to buy my car at wholesale, which I'm happy to sell it to him at, I got to buy his car at wholesale. See, Mr. Smith just needs to be educated. See, he already knows this, but he's not thinking about this at that time. So when I say to him, sounds reasonable, what's going to drive him into the dealership? The thought that he's going to get $12,000 for his trade. Well, when I sit down and I present the numbers to him, I will show him $12,000. I will say, Mr. Smith, I got great news. The sticker price on this car is $38,250. You were right. Your car is worth $12,000. So we're going to take $12,000 off the price. So it would now be $26,250. And then Mr. Smith says, well, are you giving me a discount off the car? Well, we can. Are you willing to give us a discount off of your car? No. Okay. Well, we can't do both. We can't give you a discount, not get a discount from you. And this is all going to build into your skill sets, whether you have the skill sets and the negotiation sets to make this work. The key thing is you've driven the customer into your dealership. Now, are some people going to figure out what you've done? Sure, absolutely. And some people are going to go, it was very clever of you what you did. It's the truth. The truth is I will give you retail when you pay retail. I will give you wholesale when you pay wholesale. That's the fact of the business. And most people do understand that. So by making it about trade, that's real important. All right. I want two more things and we'll wrap up. I'll start taking questions. Okay. Number one, if you have to give prices over the phone or you have to give somebody a price, because if somebody asks me twice for a price, I give them the price. I'm not going to upset anybody. I don't want to drive anybody away from me. So if somebody wants to know the price of something, I mean, I can tell they're being adamant. By trying to push them in another direction is not going to benefit me. So when somebody says, no, listen, I really want a price before I come in, I say, great, I'm happy to give you a price. What is your cell phone number? I'll text you the price. Well, can you email it to me? No. Can you give it to me over the phone? No. And here's the reason why. Unfortunately, when we email things, things can be manipulated on an email to show a different price. And we don't think that's right. It's not fair to everybody. And if I tell you on the phone, it might get misconstrued. So here's what we do. I will text you the price. I'll give you all the information on the text. I'll actually give you an expiration date of when that quote expires. And then if you come in 2-3 days later and I'm not here, all you have to do is just show your cell phone number to any salesperson. And guess what? We're going to honor that price. The price I text you is the price we're going to honor. So you have to make sure that you're giving them a price that you will honor. The second thing is this. Video, video, video. Oh, I can't get this into your heads enough. Video, 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 video. And if I want to say it one more time, video, video, video. You're not sending enough videos. When somebody starts reaching out to me and I start having dialogue, the best thing you can do is send them a video. So when somebody starts looking at talking to you, either email or phone on a Ford F-150 truck, they're excited about the car. Maybe you've narrowed it down to a couple of cars. Go out to your lot, make a quick video. Hi, Mr. Smith. I thought I'd send you this video. These are the 3 trucks that we narrowed it down to. Or this is the 1 truck, but I wanted to show you I also have 40 other trucks in inventory here. But this is the truck you selected that you wanted to concentrate on. This is the, a black F-150 with this, with this, with this, with this, with this. Make it about a minute long. And then make sure your videos are posted on YouTube. They got to go on YouTube. Don't send me an MOV file from your cell phone. It's too big of a file. I only play YouTube videos on my cell phone because if not, I'm afraid that you're going to eat up all my bandwidth. It's going to take too long to download. But YouTube's instant. It plays instantly. So take the YouTube video, take your video, post it on YouTube. Make sure you're posting on a channel that has your name on it. ABC Motors, whatever, and make sure you title the video properly. 2020 Ford F-150 truck. Then in the description below, make sure you put ABC Motors, 2020 Ford F-150 pickup truck, maybe an option or 2, put your zip code, put your area code. That way when people Google search this stuff, your Ford F-150 might show up with your name and your information on it. And now it might drive somebody to call you. If somebody's having second thoughts about things, showing them a video. You're talking to Mrs. Smith. You send her a video. Guess what she does with the video? She sends it to Mr. Smith. It says, hey, look at this. I send videos for everything. When I start a conversation, and if they leave and don't buy, guess what? They get another video saying, hey, it was great having you here today. I thought I'd send you one more video of the exact car that we narrowed it down to. That is how people view things, and that's how people communicate. So let's start to wrap this up. Internet leads are here. I mean, they're stronger than ever because of COVID-19, excuse me. It's not going away. How you deal with these customers is going to determine where they go. And a lot of you are missing the boat and you're losing opportunities. If you were with me last week, I think it was last week, we talked about how to sell cars in the service department. And I told you that was the #1 place I would want to work if I was working in a dealership in the service department. If that spot's filled, #2, I want your internet leads because there's so many of them. And I know how to create the dialogue, move them through a process, get them into a dealership, and then sell them a car. So with that said, I do have, hold on, I got to move my camera here a little bit. I would like to ask you all a question before I get to your questions, and that is I would like you to rate my presentation today. How did you enjoy it? Was it excellent, good, fair, or poor? So if you would just take 2 seconds and just everybody, oh my goodness, thank you all very much. Rank my presentation. There we go, I'm still getting some in. Okay. Wow, that's fantastic, guys. Thank you very much. I got a poor. The facts are the facts. I'm sorry. Did I get a poor? No, I didn't get a poor. I'm sorry. I got 2 fairs. Everybody, I got a couple of goods, and everyone else was excellent. So thank you very, very much for that. Let me end that poll right now. Thank you. And let me go to my second poll. My second poll now is for next week. I like to let you guys pick the topic you want to talk about. So would you like to talk next week? Would you like me to talk about some common mistakes that salespeople make? Would you like me to talk about meet and greet obstacles, or would you like me to talk with you on how to handle non-sold customer follow-up? So I'm going to launch that poll right now. If you would all just tell me what you would like to talk about. Common mistakes, non-sold customer follow-up. We're coming in. Oh, I think we're running away here with it. So we're still coming in. Okay, it looks like our topic next week is going to be how to handle non-sold customer follow-up. So 63% of you said that, 25% could common mistakes salespeople make, and the other 12% said meet and greet obstacles. We'll get to all these topics as we go along. So next week, we're going to talk about non-sold customer follow-ups. Okay, so now does anybody have any questions for me? Let me open up my questions. Okay. So somebody wants to know about, I don't understand your question that you're asking me about non-sales follow-up. I do not understand that question. King, if you could just rephrase your question for me, that would be great. Somebody here is asking me, okay, this question is, and again, I'm trying to understand your question. Okay, I think I understand your question. Yes, I do believe that I would not call people initially when they email the dealership. I don't think that if they really wanted to talk to us, I think they would have called. Do I think that some people are concerned, do want to call? Yeah, I do. That's why, like he's saying, well, if they put their phone number down, that means they want to call. But some of you are making that a mandatory thing. Okay, so if it's mandatory, then I end up putting in a bad number. And for those of you that handle these e-leads all the time, you know when bad numbers are bad numbers because you call them, it's a bogus number. So I believe if they email me, I like to start with the email, the response to the email first. I've got their number. If I need to call, then eventually I would call. Great stuff. Thank you. Thank you for the show today. What's the best quality lead source provider in your opinion? I have no opinion on that. They are all great lead source providers. Everybody tackles a different piece of the marketplace. I think you got to share yourself around, use a provider for a certain amount of time, then go to another provider, then to another provider. Advertising is the weirdest thing in the world. I can do a big event sale this weekend and sell 50 cars. I can do the same event sale 3 months later and sell 5 cars. It's a hit or miss thing. So unfortunately, I have no thoughts on that. Okay. I'm asking now, will you be sending a video recording of this? No, you must be a non-member of our site. We do record these. If you're a member of if you're a subscriber to our site, and then you get to see these at a later date. We do archive them. So all of our DLA members, they are on your screen as a pre-recorded session. Okay, texting best practices considering privacy and necessary opt-in requests. Okay, this is a good question about texting. And I'm not an expert on this, but this is the way I understand this, and this is the way I feel about this. If somebody gives me their cell phone number, then I believe I have the right to text them. This is not a mass bulk text. I'm not texting 100,000 people in a mass bulk. That's what I believe these texting laws were designed to stop from happening. If somebody wants to stop, we all know they can type stop and you've got to stop. But I believe that if somebody gives me their cell phone number, it's a one-on-one dialogue conversation. I believe you have no problems with that. I like to text from my phone. I like texting. Texting gives me a record. It gives me something I can look back at. But on the other hand, my personality is stronger. I think all of our personalities are stronger when we're on the phone versus texting. Sometimes my text might be for simple answers. Are you free to chat? Something that's a quick answer. But other than that, I'm all about going on the phone. Okay, I understand you don't have exacts and it can change, but just need a ballpark before I come in to see if it fits in my budget. I don't want to waste your time. What's the most effective response? Okay, so let me rephrase that question. I think I get it. When somebody says they want ballpark information to see if they can afford it, I'm okay with quoting a general number. I might try very lightly to get a figure out of them and then, see how it fits into what we do. People are funny. Whatever their number is that's in their mind, they will go higher. Now, they're not going to double that number. It's like I said, if I ask you what your payment is and you tell me 350 and I said, would you buy it if it was 370? Of course you would. If it was 380, of course you would. So when people ask me for ballpark numbers, I'll give them a range. I might ask them, did you have a range you were trying to stay around? That will help me decide which cars I can fit you into. If somebody says, well, I'm trying to be around the $300 range, I say, well, absolutely. We absolutely can fit you into that range. If they don't want to give me a range, I might just say, listen, they could be anywhere from 250 to 350, depends on the option and accessories that you pick. Okay, thank you, very helpful. How much contact is too much contact in a lead? In other words, how do you know if you're doing too much? A great question. You're doing too much if people stop responding or their response time and the gap slows down. So if you sent somebody 2 or 3 emails and they're not responding over 4, 6, 8 hours or a day or two, guess what? They're done. You're done. It's over. So you're done. Okay. I try, it's difficult for me. I'm a now kind of guy. So I like to stay on top of things. I have been accused of being a little bit too aggressive with my texts or my calls. But I think that if you think it's too much, then it's too much. There's a fine line to draw. There's an old school of thought years ago when I sold cars. You don't know your level until a customer gets mad at you. Well, I don't ever want a customer to get mad at me, so I don't know if I'm ever stretching the level to as far as I can go. Just use common sense. But I will tell you this. People are going to ghost you all the time. Don't take it personally. It's not a jab at you. It's just they're done with you. Now, also you have to keep something else in mind, which a lot of you have probably considered. A percentage of the emails you're getting are from your competitors. There are other people sizing you up, seeing what you do, what you're saying. So don't be surprised when they ghost you, because they are going to ghost you. I mean, we do it in training, you do it sometimes. So a percentage, and we take that into account when we look at your statistics, that some of these leads are coming from people that are just never going to respond. Okay. How do I become a member? I reach out to the office. We can go over all that with you at another time. What about when too many people contact one customer? Hey, that's a good one. That's a no-no. Okay. I believe that the lead stays, let's say the lead's being handled by the BDC to begin with. I believe the lead stays with the BDC until the customer comes in the dealership. I believe that if it starts with the salesperson, it stays with the salesperson. Now, do I want my managers to get involved if they have to? Yes, but I'm going to be very clear with you. If I've already ghosted you, the odds are they're going to ghost the manager too, and you're going to get nowhere. Does a second voice help? Absolutely. It absolutely helps. I think, honestly, that a salesperson or a BDC person has to be trained to handle these leads effectively. Now, I'm going to say something, and some of you salespeople or BDC people in the room are not going to be pleased with what I'm going to say. If I was your manager and I didn't feel you were capable of handling the lead properly, I would not let you handle these leads at all. But I would train you and work with you until you were capable. We as an industry have a horrible training thought process. And that is we give them a little bit of training and that we let you practice with our live customers. It shouldn't work like that. when someone goes to become a doctor, they go through all their school for years. And then when they're training, they train alongside another doctor in their residency before they do this on their own. We have a tendency to hire somebody, whether it be BDC or sales. We give them 1 or 2 days of training and say, okay, now go out and do it. Learn by osmosis, learn by trying it. That is a horrible way to do things, and it's a formula for failure. What I shared with you today is not difficult. It is not, and it doesn't take a long time to train on it and master it. It just takes a commitment. For my managers that are here with us in the room today, if you work with your people, for example, I'm a believer in training every day, and I think you should train for 10 minutes a day. So as a manager, I'd walk into my BDC department and I would train on something 10 minutes every day. I also believe, I'm not a big believer in scripts. I believe in bullet points, but don't give me a script to read, because A, it's going to sound like a script. And if I don't buy into it or believe into it, I'll never put my personality into it. So I believe in bullet points, and then let each person develop their own style of how they want to present it to the customer in their words, in their personality. And I work with them on an individual basis, because what works for me doesn't work for you. What works for you doesn't work for somebody else. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. A female voice on a phone is a lot better than my male voice. It's just the facts of life. So I have to work a little harder at making sure that I'm more palatable and more sociable, that people don't feel threatened by me. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. There's a couple other comments in here. If anybody else have any other questions, I think I got most of them. I got one here that says non-sales follow-up. I don't know what that means. There are a bunch more popping in. So what I will do is I will answer some of these via email. If you've got your email address when you logged on, I will reply to you, because there are a bunch more here. And we're running out of time here. So again, I want to thank you all for being with me today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I guess our topic next week is going to be on handling non-sold customer follow-up. And I'll look forward to seeing you all then. Everybody have a great weekend. Have fun. And please, please be safe. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for watching my video, and I hope I inspired you. If you enjoyed the content, please like, share, and click the subscribe button. Once you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell so you can receive more content like this every week. And should you have any comments or questions, I'd love to hear them.